have with us today some people who helped make this happen, and I'd like my staff to please stand for a moment. We have with us, and also the elected officials and city council people in the room. We don't have a lot of time to get through all this, so I'm not going to go through all of the individuals involved, but also I want you to recognize these people because they're the ones that help make the wheels turn in the city of Elyria. We've got our very humble police chief and officers up here who are not standing, but I know you're not my staff, but you are the city of Elyria employees. Please stand. We really appreciate their support. Please give them a round of applause. I'd also like to recognize my family. I have the good fortune of having my mother with us today. Mom, wave. My visiting daughter from Los Angeles is here till Saturday, and she was able to join us. And my faithful husband, who I couldn't do my job without. So thanks again for coming. We've got lots of things to talk about today, and I'm going to kind of zip through this quickly, but I'd like to leave some time for questions. So we're happy to do that. But 2015 has been a very interesting year in the city of Elyria. There have been some opportunities, some real challenges, but we're working through them, and we're adjusting our sails. I want to talk to you a little bit about some trends we see in the city of Elyria and how we're reacting to them. One of the questions that I often get is, you're doing a lot, but are you doing the right things? And we ask ourselves that a lot as staff members in the city of Elyria, because you can be very busy doing a lot of things, but if they're not the right things, we're going to stay in the same place. So some of the trends that we see, and I also, by the way, as a caveat, am a firm believer, if you don't recognize challenges, problems, and you're not going to be able to address them. So I'm going to be talking about some of those today. I don't want you to interpret that as a negative. I want you to interpret it as we're recognizing some of the challenges we have, but we're trying to align what we're doing to help address those challenges. So obviously, we've got some very limited local revenues, and it is limiting our core basic services and slowing some forward progress. You're going to see how we're making some progress anyway, but we could make a lot more if we did have some additional revenue. Elyria is not going to regain its peak population, and therefore, we really need to think about how we can shrink. And you're not just seeing that in the city. You know, this is a good practice. When I was on the school board in Elyria, we shrank the school district. We looked at relocating our student population and our schools where the population was, and you're seeing that happen again in their process. So we as a city are working very closely with them on that. We have a surplus of older housing stock and vacant lots that we must transform, and I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing about that. We have businesses and industries that we want to grow that are landlocked, so we must free up some land and develop infrastructure. The good news is we can see in our conversations with the business community the economy begin to pick up a bit. And with that is opportunity, but there's also some challenges because we've got some people who'd like to expand and they're kind of stuck. We know that 80% of new jobs will come from existing businesses and industries. So we've really got to focus on keeping what we have and removing barriers to growth before they become barriers. And this is not just in the city of Elyria, it's a trend across our region. Lorain County Community College and our economic development organizations have adjusted their practices to address this. We have young professionals that are locating in contiguous communities that are offering more upscale housing and more quality of life amenities. And Elyria, if we want to compete, has to offer more upscale mixed-use residential and quality of life opportunities. There are cities in the county with more favorable economic circumstances, a higher skilled and educated population, higher expectations, and more buildable land that have more bargaining power and a distinct business advantage with investors over Elyria. So we must capitalize on our strengths and change the way we do business. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. It's no secret, losing Bendix was a huge, devastating blow for the city of Elyria. Many of you may know the city of Elyria did rise to the occasion. We put together one of the most comprehensive incentive packages in the state of Ohio with both local, state, and regional partners. We offered to reduce their rebuilding costs by 40%, but we still were not able to retain them. And that and some other conversations with area businesses is really causing the city to carefully examine how business not only is being conducted in the city of Elyria, but also throughout the county. I believe, and this is just my humble opinion, but right now what we're doing is not working in some ways. We've got this traditional model of intermunicipal competition in Lorain County where we have no anti-poaching policy or agreements. In Cuyahoga County, they've been able to work through this. They do have anti-poaching policy and agreements in Cuyahoga County. We don't, between and among municipalities and other economic development entities, to protect invested home cities that have already incentivized businesses with taxpayer money. And that's detrimental not only to Elyria and in the entire county. So we are advocating for an anti-poaching policy and agreements in Lorain County. We've begun to have that conversation among and between elected officials and other economic development organizations, and we think it's important. And I'll touch on that in a little bit more detail. Midway Mall and the Midway area are over-commercialized, so we must guide downsizing and more mixed-use redevelopment. We know that. We've conducted a market analysis and redevelopment plan for the area. We know downtown is at a tipping point for reinvestment, and we've got to capitalize on the opportunity and our many assets to create a place capable of attracting upscale professionals from neighboring communities and our own. And even with major crime down, Elyria's reputation for crime is a deterrent, and we've got to increase our police force. I'm going to talk about some really positive things that are happening with our police department today too. But reputation is a hard thing to get over, and we've got to address that. The lack of a comprehensive transportation system is preventing Elyrians and other Lorain Countyans from connecting with jobs and commerce throughout the region. And we've got to address countywide regional transit issues. And the city of Elyria is working through the existing organizations to do that. Again, these can be opportunities. Here's some good news. We have aligned our planning to capitalize on our significant assets, and we really have significant assets in our community. We're one of very few cities in Northeast Ohio that has the benefit of a river, 2 waterfalls, magnificent parks, a historic downtown, a midway area that it's at a nexus of major highways for transportation, business logistics. We've got strong healthcare, education, and manufacturing sectors, and we're a great diverse community. Those are all things we can build on. We've got a new economic development plan, and we're making strides working with existing businesses in the community to remove barriers for growth, and I'll talk about how we're doing some of those today. We've completed many of you in this room did participate, but we did complete the Jumpstart Elyria market analysis and redevelopment plan for our commercial areas. And we're currently working with 30 community partners to leverage redevelopment projects. We're also working with new asset managers at Midway Mall to help develop a right sizing and public financing strategy for the property. Midway Mall might need some help. And what we don't want is for it to fall into a place where some other communities have. So we are trying to be very proactive, and we are talking with the right people. We are beginning to implement mixed-use business and eventually residential development downtown to attract more residents and visitors, including young professionals. And we're trying to be very strategic about the investment money that we do have. We have HUD investment, federal monies, and other grant funds to drive some strategic initiatives. So when we can, we acquire residential properties on or near the riverfront for future upscale development. We're targeting neighborhood revitalization efforts to help build synergy with other investments. And we are going to be looking very carefully at the school's redevelopment plan, because it's very rare that a community like Elyria has the opportunity to bring in such incredible federal investment. If you look at the proposal by the Ohio School Facilities Commission to provide matching funds for the rebuilding of our schools, that also has a profound positive impact on our neighborhoods as well. And it would make a lot of sense for the city of Elyria to look at that very carefully, see where that investment is being made, and align our park improvements and other things that we're doing to help strengthen those areas so we rebuild our strong neighborhoods. We also have some neighborhoods and industrial areas that are kind of emptying on their own. And there are ways, very soft ways, where we can incentivize people to live in neighborhoods that are growing a little bit stronger, and maybe even free up some property for some business expansion in those areas. So we are looking at that. A lot of communities successfully do that. We wouldn't be looking at, taking people's property away from them, but if there are ways to help move populations in a gentle way that would actually improve their quality of life, it's something we need to look at. We are working with the Lorraine County Metro Parks to link green space, bike trails, and other area parks in downtown. And again, we're advocating for an anti-poaching policy and agreement. And at your places, we have put a draft in writing. So if you want more detail on that, you have it. We are working with the county to expand transportation options at the Lorraine County Community and Transportation Center. We're fortunate to have the commissioners here, so if you have questions about that, but there's been, from what I understand, about $9 million assembled to return passenger rail, but there are some operating obstacles, and there's a real focus right now on transit, which is very much needed, which I referenced before. And we are addressing financial and service delivery concerns through some ongoing efficiency measures I'll talk about. And also, City Council has placed on the March 15th ballot a temporary income tax increase of 0.5%. If you look at the financial realities, I won't spend a lot of time, but we know it. We are working with less funds due to the decline of the local government fund, the repeal of the estate tax, and less stimulus money. In the last 18 months, 50 positions have gone unfilled in the city of Elyria. And you can kind of see just the decline in both of those streams of revenue for the city of Elyria and the impact it's having. And we're not alone. Municipalities all over the state of Ohio are experiencing some of these same things. Again, we have an issue on the ballot right now. Issue 6, it'll generate $6.2 million a year, and it will be used for resurfacing, repairing of the streets, additional police officers, equipment, park improvements, and economic development. We have continued to try to institute efficiency and cost savings throughout the city. It's beginning to become more and more difficult because we've already done so many things. But some of the things that we've done, all of our collective bargaining member wages were frozen in 2015. Employees agreed to a 50% increase in health care contributions, and that's effective as of January. And we saved an additional almost $250,000 in electric savings by shopping. We began the new lease agreement with the Metro Parks, and that's added to about $2.3 million in cost efficiencies we've already instituted over the last few years by rebidding contracts, joining energy cooperatives, reconfiguring, combining departments, not filling positions, safety and wellness programs, and some other things we've done, including eliminating longevity for new hires. We were able to do technology upgrades, which have actually added to the efficiency of this city, not because of our general fund revenue, but rather, if you recall, we were lucky enough to get some $3 million in demutualization money a few years ago. And this was money that was left over. And we wanted to use it for things that we thought could help build capacity in the city. And this is one of those examples. And it's been a huge project. It's not real sexy. People aren't really into talking about software upgrades and technology upgrades, but I will tell you that this is probably one of the most significant projects that we've taken on in the city of Elyria. It's eliminated 12 software platforms and unified the city under one main system. And it's been an incredible amount of work. It's been difficult too, but we're almost there. And we are beginning to reap the benefits of that. And that's what part of this money went to. But you can see all the work that's gone into this. When we talk about the business climate. I want to talk about some of the positive things that are happening. We do see things picking up, and actually what's not on here is what Bob Graham was telling me before I got up here to talk, and that is that within his own realm, over in the Shaden Road area, he's been able to add, I think, 6 or 7 startup businesses in the last several months. So that whole Shaden Road area is actually occupied at this point. And those are not listed here, but these are some positive things that have happened. And you can see Ohio Metallurgical, American Hood, Life Care, Drug Mart. Valley of the Eagles continues. This is just the cost of construction for the clubhouse, but the overall project's in the neighborhood of about $3 million. It is the only public Jack Nicklaus golf course to happen in the state of Ohio, and we do think it's going to be a major economic development driver for the city of Elyria. We've got improvements to apartments, an urgent care facility, the college. We've got additional retail building at Chestnut Commons, some improvements to our local corporations, including Ridge Tool and 3M, and University Hospital's Elyria Medical Center. Downtown is seeing some revitalization as well, and I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing to help incentivize that, but already we're seeing some new projects. There's a new law building going up. McDonald's will be rebuilding. It's taking a little bit longer than we'd hoped, but it is going to happen this year. We have a restaurant renovation that's happening right now, and an opening that's happening soon, and another building renovation. These are some of the other projects, a major one being the new Courtyard by Marriott Hotel going up by Atlas Cinemas out there by the mall. And these are just, I think they're most of them, but these are the new businesses in downtown Elyria just in 2015. So there is some commerce happening in the city of Elyria. And we've got some other positive things happening in the Midway area as well. We tried to do some things differently. We did partner with Cranes Cleveland Business and Magnet to sponsor the 2015 Power Manufacturing Assembly at the Knight Center in Akron. And this was designed to help local corporations and others in the region with growth strategies. We have been working with all the Taylor Street industries and our engineering department in particular to improve water flow and pressure. That's one of those barriers to expansion that we're trying to take away. We've done 27 business calls, presented incentive packages to 6 companies, and we are developing relationships with people out at the mall. We have completed a commercial business district market analysis and redevelopment plan. We're working with developers on downtown. We created a new downtown growth partnership, which is not a new organization, but rather it's a group of committed volunteer leaders in the downtown area that are coming together on an informal basis to help prioritize redevelopment projects. And we continue to market the city through cable TV, Elyria Magazine, our website, our blog, Facebook, and our Business Advancement program. And if you have a flyer on your table here, if you'd like to participate in the bicentennial edition of Elyria Magazine, feel free to take that with you. We are continuing to work with the General Industries property. We completed our $200,000 grant-funded Phase 2 environmental assessment, which is a requirement for improvement of the property. We don't have the final report yet, but we have the verbal report. And basically, the findings were that we have some subsurface concerns that can be managed if properly contained. They're 14 feet down, basically, and it's going to take them 400 years to travel. So the city of Elyria has made the decision to go through the legal process of acquiring the property into our Community Improvement Corporation, which is what we're doing right now. And the total surface cleanup costs are about $460,000. Once we gain control of the property through our CIC, we will be eligible to apply for some additional cleanup funds, but we cannot do that without control of the property. So we're working on that. These were some of the major findings from Jumpstart Elyria, and for those of you who would like additional information, the full report is posted on our website, but these are some of the recommendations here. position Elyria as a unique regional destination with a focus on downtown because of all the assets that are really focused in that area. Concentrate development efforts in the downtown to buildings along Broad Street. Convert 2nd and 3rd Street to two-way between Chestnut and East Avenue. Provide a more substantial connection with West 3rd Street between the future Riverbend Senior Cottages downtown and Cascade Park. Provide more wayfinding, and there's a market capacity for 30 to 40 downtown residential lofts and new office infill. Again, we have a new downtown partnership, and we are prioritizing projects right now. Some of the long-term projects include a downtown entertainment district, business incubator space, a food hub, loft apartments, and expansion of the arts. We do have right now pending about $600,000 in grant funds to improve downtown, including streetscape improvements, a Pioneer Plaza that creates a joint space for the arts, culture, and a farmer's market, and a bicentennial mural project. So we're hoping to just get part of that money and get these improvements started. You can see the evidence of some of the resources going into downtown with the $3 million Middle Avenue replacement project that'll be complete this spring. And these are some of the streetscape improvements we hope to make with some of the money we've applied for. But you'll see the crosswalk improvements, the curb cut improvements, some planters, the art mural project to help celebrate our bicentennial. We do have an investor that's purchased 4 of the most challenged buildings in downtown and is renovating 2 of them. And we expect to have a new restaurant open, actually I've been told April 1st now. The new Elyria Arts Council is open with an art gallery, art classes, and many unique items for purchase. So if you need a gift, please visit them in the former Brandel Jeweler building. And the city has provided some tax incentives for some new Riverbend cottages aimed at seniors. We're hoping that their project comes to fruition because it will be another way to locate a population center close to downtown and take advantage of some of the things we're doing. McDonald's will be rebuilding in 2016. And again, these are some of the things that are happening downtown. But in all, we've got about 18 new businesses and organizations located in downtown. The Midway area, our market analysis and redevelopment study looked at this area in particular and recommended that we provide incentives and a framework to reconfigure the commercial area in Midway crossings. Really, the focus there was to try to convert that area from commercial to mixed-use residential because it abuts to the back of the metro parks. There's over-commercialization in that area. And if we could push commercialization across the street into the mall, it would help strengthen the mall. The Midway area can sustain about 140 new multifamily apartments, and there's potential for new flex office space as well. We've reached out to both the mall management and asset management companies as well as individual buyers of various properties in the mall that are owned by the individual companies. And we're currently in a conversation with these parties and have offered to help coordinate a joint effort to shrink and reconfigure the property and possibly offer some public financial incentives to help make it happen. It doesn't mean we're going to take city money and buy the mall, but what it does mean is there's some very creative financial tools that we can use with their investment to help make this manageable. So we are having that conversation. The other recommendations were relative to Cleveland Street, from 4 lanes of through traffic to 2 lanes, and reconfiguring the intersection of Cleveland Street and East Bridge Street to allow for more pedestrian activity. It addressed the Bendix site, making it more attractive and providing more wayfinding and gateway opportunities to encourage Cleveland Street patrons downtown. We have applied for federal funds to improve signalization, and we have reached out to Bendix about next steps to help prepare their property for future occupancy of development, and Bendix is not ready to have that conversation right now. Again, I won't go through all this, but I do want to divert for a moment, and that is we do see some things that need to change here in our county about how we address business development. And let me just give you an example. What commonly happens is a business could be looking to expand or looking at an alternative site, They might send a site selector in who's an independent third party. Those site selectors then ask various parties, including economic development organizations and municipalities, to sign non-disclosure agreements, even for cities that may have offered millions of dollars in tax abatements to keep those companies over years. And because we don't have any accepted protocol that everybody's abiding by, the home city that has invested millions of dollars in these companies may not know this is happening. And there are some things that communities can do, including communities in Cuyahoga County, to at least allow for information and also advocacy first for those home cities. I think personally it's only fair that communities that have made this huge investment with taxpayer dollars at least have the opportunity to compete. And without this protocol, we can't do it. So again, we've drafted some protocol and we've asked some organizations to take a leadership role in having this conversation, and hopefully they will. And the City of Elyria will certainly be willing to lead that conversation if necessary. A major focus on keeping Elyria safer. The good news is 9 out of 10 major crime categories have decreased comparing 2014 to 2015. The detective unit investigated 677 major cases, closed 43%, resulting in 390 arrests. The Narcotics and Neighborhood Impact Unit conducted 2 major drug investigations that resulted in 55 arrests, or 240 arrests altogether last year. And I will, as a sidebar, say that eventually you're going to see, if you see overtime for this unit, well, that's the work they're doing. And so if you see overtime for some police officers published in the newspaper, you can thank them for getting the drug dealers off the street in the City of Elyria. They've taken $646,000 of illegal drugs off the street, 7 rifles, 24 handguns, and $170,000 in drug-related currency. You can see the areas that have declined: homicide, kidnapping, robbery, forcible rape, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, motor vehicle theft, counterfeit, forgery. The only area that we saw a slight increase was simple assault. Again, our police department earned the AAA Platinum Safety Award. They continue to work towards their CALIA certification, which is basically an accreditation process adopting national standards and best practices that only 7% of law enforcement agencies in the country have. And if we should applaud any department, and we should applaud all of them because they're all doing more with less, but this is an incredible task, and I think they deserve a round of applause for taking the initiative to do this. We've got our Elyria Police Auxiliary donating a significant amount of hours, 2,764. And the cities of Elyria and Lorraine have a new project together. We do have a grant-funded police recruitment initiative that is being funded by the Community Foundation. What we find is both Mayor Rittenauer and I have challenges recruiting our police officers. And we're going to try something new with Stevens Communications in terms of really applying the internet to our recruitment practices. So they're going to be coming in and doing a special program and actually training personnel in both agencies to be able to use the internet for recruitment purposes. So we're excited about that. These are some of the accomplishments of our law department. Our law director is sitting here, so if you have any questions, but you can see how busy they are. 13,687 criminal cases, 9,827 traffic cases, and so on. Very, very busy department. We've got our fire department is also very busy. Total emergency responses increased by 166 this year. Fire losses, unfortunately, also increased. They are working with 9 fewer firefighters. And that allows us to keep 2 stations open. We do have emergency medical responses have increased as well. And this is even with our protocol changes of only arriving at the most critical scenes. And of course, all the things that we usually do in that department with fire hydrants, and we do some value added with our scuba divers helping the water plant on Lake Erie. Otherwise, we'd have to pay for those services. Our fire department worked with our health department on infant mortality issues and university hospitals, and that's been very helpful. CPR training and education classes for the public and car seat installation. So lots of proactive work going on there. Our health department really focused on infant mortality through the Cribs for Kids and Safe Sleep program and the critical Narcan clinics and education training. Narcan has become a staple, unfortunately, in our community and others, but it is a real lifesaver. And we're very fortunate that we have professionals here who are not only using it, but are helping to train our community in applying it as well. Even with all of our financial challenges, we are moving forward with some major infrastructure projects. We did move the reconfiguration of State Route 57 and the 49th Street Bridge up 10 years by working with our state legislature, and we're about to complete this $22 million project this spring. It will improve a high crash zone, improve access to the mall, and open up about 140 acres for further development. Another major project is the Middle Avenue project. Again, that being done through state and federal funds. We've got some other local projects here that were completed this year, Lake Avenue, design of Route 57 to State Route 113. That whole section is going to be redone. And then some of the local pavement repairs. We are doing, by the way, a traffic study in collaboration with ODOT and Eaton and Carlisle Townships to improve the signalization at State Route 57 and Chestnut Commons. This is some of the other infrastructure improvements, new linings of sanitary sewers, 29 sewer repairs, and water main improvements to a number of areas, including Furnace Street, the South Side, and Parkwood Manor. We did develop a stormwater utility to begin in mid-2016 to address EPA unfunded mandates. We modified 2 wastewater tanks to store additional wet weather flow. And we are awaiting US and Ohio EPA approval on the comprehensive wet weather control plan associated with the capital improvements we've been talking about. These are some of the other, again, accomplishments. Street department. We've got 518 streets to maintain, 151 cul-de-sacs, and these are things we take for granted every day, but we've got to fix, we've got a $30,000 grant from the EPA for the detection of harmful algae. There's been a lot written about the quality of water in communities lately, but I can assure you that we have a very proactive department, and you've got very healthy water in the city of Elyria. Strengthening our neighborhoods is a major focus. This year we took down 35 nuisance properties, totaling 185 in the last 36 months, and there's 62 additional on our list. Done 19 residential and commercial property inspections. And as you might recall, we started a rental property registration. We now have 1,440 property owners who have representing 3,410 units that have registered. So that does help us track these properties and help make sure that they're maintained. Over $600,000 in HUD Community Block Grant funds are going into the community. And again, as I discussed earlier, we're trying to target those funds so that they have the most beneficial impact. We continue to work with our community block watch organizations and the EPD to try to make our neighborhoods safer, and we've got a great relationship with people in the community there. These were some of our community gardens this year. We want to eventually redevelop these properties for productive use, either for homes or rezone them, but for now, when the community is willing to take over ownership, it's a very positive thing. A lot of work through our Equal Opportunity Department. Our Parks and Recreation Department, very, very busy department, as you can see. 1,400 youth participated in 41 sports and sports clinics, donor-funded summer camps, 99 adult volleyball teams. People in Elyria really like volleyball. Over 1,000 adults 55 or over looking at recreation, and 60 Elyria softball teams. And then we have teams coming in from all over the state for some tournaments too. So Parks and Rec do an amazing job with a very limited staff at this point. Because of many of your contributions, we were able to host about 25,000 people for another Great American Picnic and Fireworks Show at West Park. The parks also initiated their master planning process, which is in process right now. We're looking at how to best use our parks, and we're also looking at how the metro parks are using it so we can coordinate services. And then we worked with Lorain County Metro Parks to transition the care of Cascade in the county. We get two major complaints in the city of Elyria. One is there's a stray cat on my property, and the other one is I can't get somewhere. And we've been able to deal with this problem, but I have to say that we're so very happy to have a partnership with a Friendship APL, not just for cats, but for dogs and other animals as well. They're very responsive, and through a grant through PetSmart, we've been able to really provide a more humane outcome for the lives of nearly 500 cats and kittens in the community. I want to thank all of our community reinvestment sponsors who help make camps and concerts and fireworks and holiday lights possible. This wouldn't happen without the support of all these organizations, given our current financial situation, but it's a real tribute to try to keep some of this quality of life stuff going. Again, these are some of the activities that are made possible through this. I would like to join us for a series of community conversations. We're going to be hosting 4 quarterly forums this year, and the dates and times are on the piece of paper that you have on your desk. But we will also be available for morning coffee in the Midway Mall food court last Thursday morning of every month. And we will be hosting Mayor's Night In the first Monday evening of every month, except in the summer. And of course, you can always make an appointment, but we try to make ourselves available to share what's going on and get your input. Another very important project this year is preparation for our bicentennial. As you may know, 2017 is Elyria's 200th birthday, and we've got a lot of people in the community very excited about this. We're going to have our first organizing meeting on February 25th from 7 to 9 in council chambers, and Bill Bird is the honorary chair for this commission through the Historical Society, but we would love to have you participate. There's going to be lots of opportunities through committees. We've got legacy projects, year-long events, historical education committee, arts and culture, marketing, publicity, and fundraising. So if you're interested in any of those, we'd love to see that happen. And we just got one more thing, and that is every year, this will be the second time, we do offer a key to the city of Elyria to someone in an organization who's gone above and beyond to improve the quality of life, not only of our residents, but in this case, our little friends too. Last year, we did honor St. Mary's for stepping up with the shelter program, and this year it's my great honor to present Mr. Greg Wiley with the Friendship APL for working as a partner with the city of Elyria to help our cat population in the city of Elyria and all of our animals. I can't say enough about this guy. I can call him up in the middle of the night and somebody comes and takes care of this problem. Now that's usually after someone has woken me up in the middle of the night, but that's okay. But I can't, this is someone, you know, we would all be blessed if we had a job where we could go to work and it's not work. You just do it because it's your passion and you love it. And I can tell you, this is a gentleman that you know he's in it for the right reason. So please give a round of applause to Mr. Greg Wiley. This is his key to the city, and we're just so proud to give this to him. And you will find on your tables an opportunity if you'd like to make a voluntary contribution to the Friendship APL. I'm sure he'd be happy to accept it. But Greg, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, please. I just want to say thank you to Mayor Brenda for all her support she's given me over the years we've worked together to help animals in not only Elyria, but throughout Lorain County. Mahatma Gandhi said you can judge the greatness of a nation and its moral progress by the way its animals are treated. And I just wanted to say that I know it seems like a small thing, what we do here maybe with these animals, but it is really changing in Lorain County. We are becoming a destination spot for people to come and adopt animals and rescue all these little creatures that need your help and support. And we do it on donations alone. not with any tax dollars, not with any money from the government. We do it based on donations and on volunteerism and support that we get. And so I want to thank you guys so much, because people like Mayor Brenda have opened up their hearts and their homes to animals in need. So thank you very much for this.
Happy to. Thank you. With that, I'd like to open up to any questions you may have. Mr. Young.
Mayor, you've talked about, or the administration has talked about a 15% budget cut necessary this year. If you were to spread that equally across departments, you might be laying off a dozen police and 9 firefighters. Do you intend to do that? And if not, how would you avoid it? And if the tax passes on March 15th, will that limit the layoffs that you might have to oppose?
Well, first of all, we're still in the budget process. The final appropriation will not happen till March. And to be honest with you, we're holding that off a little bit to see what kind of collections we have. We have been able to reduce in a number of areas. Basically, we've cut out all the capital out of the city budget right now. So unfortunately, even though there are some needs, we have cut out the capital. We, as an exercise, did ask our departments to look at reductions at 5, 10, and 15%. And from a monetary standpoint, just a pure number standpoint, the only one that worked was 15%. To be honest with you, some of the departments don't have 15% to cut. So we're in the process of meeting with all of them right now individually, and there will be a prioritization process. Safety is the first and foremost concern that we have in the city of Elyria. In terms of the whether or not the passage of issue 6 will make a difference, obviously it's better to make reductions sooner than later, because the longer you wait, the more exponential the reductions get. So that is somewhat of a consideration. We're hoping that people do embrace issue 6, because it is so critical for the city's basic operation, as well as doing some proactive things that we talked about here that are so necessary.
Let me ask a follow-up question. Will the safety forces be exempt from cuts?
We have not made that determination yet. We certainly don't want to reduce police officers. We don't want to reduce firefighters. To reduce police officers at this point would require us to take someone off of our drug reinforcement unit at this point, because we barely have the streets covered, and you can see what kind of impact that would have on this community. I mean, the bottom line is we reinstituted the neighborhood impact and narcotics unit 3 years ago because it had been eliminated in budget reductions. I will tell you, I think that was a major mistake. To bring it back now and to see them finally get in front of this is making a huge positive impact on our community, and I have no intention of changing that, to be honest with you. I'm sorry, what was the other part of the question?
I just said, would safety forces be exempt from cuts?
Yeah. Who else? Yes, sir.
Mayor, are you feeling any success with regional economic development organizations, TDO comes to mind, or anyone else?
You know, I think that that's one of the areas, quite honestly, and I could spend a whole hour talking about that, and I think the mayor of Lorraine could do the same. It would be, I'm going to say it, we're very disappointed with the support that we've got from Team NEO. And I do think, in addition to our county looking at anti-poaching protocol, that the state of Ohio and our regional partners also need to look at making some adjustments, because you're kind of in a catch-22 situation the way things are set up right now. For example, for a lot of core communities like Lorraine and Elyria, some of our business redevelopment opportunities are on brownfields. Well, right now, it's very difficult to get brownfield reinvigoration money without proof of being able to create jobs in the process. Now, I get the logic behind that, but it's kind of a chicken and egg situation. It's very difficult sometimes without having pristine property or property that is marketable to the business community to be able to do that. So right now the contingency is you leverage a company to come bring jobs, and then we'll figure out how to clean it up. I think we need to change that. And the other concern that we have about how the state of Ohio is operating right now is in terms of how the funds are allocated through state means. It's a very independent process. It's not very transparent. And I'm pretty certain, not that our region isn't benefiting, but a number of those funds are going to the RNC project in downtown Cleveland, and it's leaving less for local communities. We also see the state of Ohio doing some other things that I think are detrimental. When a company, a local company in a home community is looking for a relocation site, the state of Ohio doesn't step in with incentives unless they say they're looking at locating outside of the state of Ohio. So you're kind of left with trying to figure it out yourself locally. And I think it's really going to take all of us looking at how we do business, but I doubt in my lifetime, or at least in my tenure, I'm going to change the way the state of Ohio operates, but we can change the way we operate in the county. And I think no one has said they don't want to, but we just haven't had the dialogue yet. And the city of Elyria's got a very good relationship, I think, with our county commissioners, our local economic development organizations, but I do think it's time for us to have this conversation. I don't pretend to have all the answers. The city of Elyria doesn't pretend to all the answers. I'm sure I could learn from some of the experiences of the other organizations, but I think for us to begin to deal with this, we need to begin to have the conversation. Anyone else? Well, thank you so very much for your patience. We appreciate your interest very much. I'm very sincere about that because you don't have to spend your time doing this, but we're trying our best. We really are, and we're giving it our all. And Elyria is a great city, and it's worth fighting for. So please keep fighting. Thank you.